The Louisiana Manufactured Housing Commission to order. With that, Mr. Millett, if I can get you to roll call, please.
Thomas Boudreaux.
Here.
Steve Deffenbach.
Here.
Garrett Millett Sr. here. Robert Parks.
Here.
Christopher Pence.
He is absent.
Absent. We do have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any public comments before we get started with old business? Seeing none. Do we?
Townsend, did you have a comment? Some matter you want to discuss?
Well, I do. It's appropriate time.
It is the only time, sir.
If you could come forward, please. And give us a name and who you're with.
I'm Fred Townsend, and I'm partners with Tommy Boudreaux and Norris and Boudreaux Developers. We have a license as a modular developer, and we sold a house and developed a house and property in Marrero using an Oak Creek product. And we have had nothing but difficulty, not with our customer. We've taken good care of them, but with Oak Creek. Nothing to do with their acquisition by Cavco. This has been going on for more than a year prior to Cavco's acquisition of the company. The major complaint that I have is really not just about them, but about the policy that allows them 60 days to even respond to the findings that their house was built incorrectly, the roof was built incorrectly. More important to us, the roof was built out of code. It was not built to the wind zone code that they were required to build it to and that they purported it was built to. We acquired a building permit from Jefferson Parish, and the stipulation was, obviously, it had to be built to 140 plus mile an hour wind zone. It was not done that way. And the customer paid significantly on the invoice of the house to pay for this house to be built to that code. When I say significantly, I'm talking about 10% of the invoice of the house, more than 10% of the invoice of the house, in an ancillary charge. So they now have 60 days to respond to the time they received the letter. I'm sure that's a policy of the commission that was set up in the past.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
You're talking about they had 60 days to respond. Have you filed a complaint with the commission?
Yes.
Has our commission?
Yes.
Have our investigators been out, Ms. Troxy?
Yes.
Okay.
Danny went out. We brought a roofing expert with us because we knew they'd send somebody down. The findings were that the roof was put on not according to the requirements of the shingle manufacturer, nor were they done according to the wind zone requirements. Mm-hmm. The roof has been leaking in these people's house for more than a year. Now, we have been up there. We've sent crews in playing whack-a-mole. We've got enough tar on that roof with nails that weren't put in the right place. But they cut a hole in the roof. Mm-hmm. They didn't build the house correctly to begin with. They sent their people in to cut a hole in the roof to go in, and we couldn't put the crossover from one side to the other. And you couldn't get into the attic space where this was. So we had to go, so they went through the roof so they could move a truss so that the crossover could be made. We found this problem looking for where we thought the leak was coming from. They blamed us for everything. We didn't build the valleys right. We didn't put the ridge cap on right. Whatever they said we did exponentially quickly. When they put that roof, fix that hole in that roof, they put no underlayment, no paper on top of it. They just took the plywood they cut and put it back and shingled on top of it.
Mr. Townsend, can I interrupt you for 1 second here because I'm trying to play catch up here.
Yeah.
Now, Ms. Troxy, help me here. We have done an inspection. Can you tell me what the status of this? Because we don't have it on the agenda here for discussion today. But where has that inspection landed? And from a past determination, where is it standing?
What is the homeowner's name so I can look up the file?
Turo. Andrew and Lauren Turo.
Spell the last name for me.
Tuoro.
And I did this out of respect, Mr.
understand.
Townsend, because we can go through this whole
I
thing
get it.
here,
Yeah.
and there's nothing that
I
this
didn't come.
commission can do
I didn't
until
come
we
test.
get.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't come-
I want to help you.
Yeah.
I want to help you, and I want to move this forward.
Yeah.
But we need to see where we're at in this
Yeah.
process so that we can get the right people involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And get you some
My
answers.
public comment is really what Mr. Hassard
Okay.
asked me to do. My public comment is that I disagree with the policy of the commission that allows 60 days from the time they receive a letter to come do anything about this roof that's been leaking for 60 days that we've been repairing and patching for over a year that should have been their responsibility to begin with at our cost because they've never reimbursed us. They won't. I want to get into that. Bottom line is my problem is that the commission policy has allowed them all this time, and that there's no accountability apparently for the fact they built a house out of code, which is mind-boggling to me.
Yes, and now is this a modular or is this a HUD?
Modular.
It is a modular.
Yes.
Okay.
It's an on-frame modular.
On-prem modular. So we have IBTS here in the state who there are paths that proper paths to take that down because it is a modular. Where an inspection can be done to address your code concerns.
So that's already been done.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't had anybody.
So basically, what I'm hearing you is your disagreement with the policy our policy that gives them 60 days to rectify something that we've told them needed to be corrected.
And that they have no accountability for building a house out of code.
Yeah. Again, that goes outside that 60-day window that you're talking about. That's a second issue.
Yeah.
I appreciate your comments.
Yep.
And there's always opportunities to make changes, and we'll take that under consideration.
All right. Thank you.
I appreciate your time, sir.
I'd like to make a comment on that.
Mr. Boudreaux.
Well, Fred and them did absolutely nothing wrong in what they did. They were trying to service the customer, and yet he had to bring up a complaint and he had to pay to have it inspected. And when a roof is leaking, 60 days is a long time. And we're here. Our sole purpose is to protect the consumer, not the dealers, not the manufacturers, not the installers. We're here to protect the consumers. And I just want to go on record as saying that we have an obligation to these people, and it needs to be swift. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any further public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, old business, reading of the November 18th, 2025 meeting.
I make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the November 18th commission meeting. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to dispense of the reading of the minutes. So we will move on to item number 4. Do we need to get a motion to approve those minutes since we're not going to? Or is that one and the same?
I think it's one and the same,
I think it's normally been.
but we need a vote.
All right, so all in favor of dispense of the minutes, approve as is?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay, item number 4, new business. B, we have appeal. Did that, I'm assuming that was,
I think we want to go out of.
well,
No, you're right. I make a motion that we go out of order and have and look at the commission growth and progress.
item number 6.
Yes.
And where would you like to move that to, down below 7?
Yes.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Millett to amend our current agenda, and I apologize, I should have done that at the very beginning. My fault. I have a motion to move item number 6 after 7.
I'll second that.
I have a second by Mr. Deffenbaugh. Any opposition? Any comment? Hearing none, so moved. We'll move item number 6 after the reports of number 7. So now we will go back up to number 4, new business. B, appeal. Should be A. I'm assuming that one move Ms. Troxy since it's not there. Having nothing there, we'll move on to item number 5, new license application. Miss Mary E. Austin Smith, a salesperson license. Ms. Smith, are you here?
Yes.
Would you step forward, please? Would you state your name for the record, please? Mhm.
Mary Emily Austin Smith.
All right. Ms. Troxy?
Ms. Smith applied for a sales license and she did not pass the background check. I have the copy of it in front of you all. So you would have to decide to issue or not.
Okay. If there's any discussion, we would have to go into executive session.
I disagree,
Correct.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I completely disagree with that to be an executive session matter. The application process does not fall under the standards for an executive session discussion. Executive discussion by statute is defined as matters regarding personnel matters of the commission or pending litigation or anticipated litigation. This is merely a public appeal.
Okay.
I would recommend, though, that if Ms. Smith were to give any testimony, that you allow us to swear her in.
Okay. Ms. Smith, would you like to, if you have comments that you'd like to put forth toward the commission first, we need to swear you in before you do such. Or,
Yeah, I mean, I provided all of the information that Troxy requested for me, but yes, I mean, I don't have a problem.
Just in the interest of moving along, could we swear her in? Mr.
yes, please.
Ms. Smith, if you could raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to give testimony to this board that is truthful to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, you have the background report. You've heard Ms. Troxy's analysis, so we will need a motion or discussion.
I make a motion to decline the license
I have a-
based upon the background check.
I second it.
I have a motion to deny the license based on the background check by Mr. Millette, seconded by Mr. Boudreau. Is there any discussion?
Pardon me, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I do believe that Ms. Smith is here for an appeal, and you should hear from her before you actually make a
It's
decision.
not listed. Okay, I
Well,
apologize.
why is she here
It's-
then?
It says new license application. It doesn't say appeal. It just says new license
The
application.
appeal was prior to under new business.
There was no appeal listed.
I'm sorry, perhaps you could educate me on your process then. If-
Anytime an applicant applies for a license and they do not pass the background check, it has to come in front of the commission for them to review it and approve or deny it. So she's here because she applied. If she passed the background, I could have issued her license. But because she didn't pass it, they have to decide to issue or deny.
So if in the event that the motion passes and it's denied, typically in the past, then she could file for an appeal of that.
Correct.
We have her here. If
Well, but then you're at another situation again. Now that you have to unanimously vote to put her on this agenda while it not being published.
Correct.
If she wishes to appeal your decision.
so, she would have to come back in order for it to be published.
Or she could request that you vote to put her on this meeting, or you all have to come back and she has to come back.
So right now we have a motion and a second, so we have spoke. If that vote passes, then you could request that we put you on give you the opportunity to appeal. And then you can speak to that. So
Is she allowed?
let's take,
Is she allowed to make comments now to her case?
she's
approve.
Mr. Chair, I'm just struggling with the due process rights here in its entirety. And she has made an application that staff, for whatever their guidelines or statutory reasons are, has recommended a denial. And essentially has denied.
she made the
Therefore,
recommendation to the, come in.
Well, she did more than recommend. She has effectively changed the process of the normal issuance and has denied it and sent it to you for your review. You gentlemen are choosing at this point to deny her without
hearing any evidence from her, which I believe she's entitled to.
I
Well,
agree.
I believe we did ask her if she wanted to make a comment. She said she provided everything to the commission. So would you
Well-
like to make additional comments? I'm okay with that. I'd like to hear if she does have additional comments because I have not made a decision yet.
I would just think that you would try to resolve this matter now instead of revisiting it again in another month. So it's your decision.
I would agree.
I agree.
So you still have the floor for comment if you've heard the motions. We're open for discussion.
Okay. So I applied for my license. I'm currently living in St. Tammany Parish. The items that came up on my background was in Calcasieu Parish, which was a little over 30 years ago. When I applied for the application, when I applied for it, I did say that I didn't have an arrest on my record, which that was 30 years ago. I just feel like my past has come back to haunt me. But the items that showed up, it was dismissed. At the time, I was working for Attorney Al Gray, who was then Judge Al Gray in Lake Charles. The charges were dismissed. The charges that's showing up was dismissed because I was in a relationship with a man who was actually charged with all of those, and later on it was dismissed by the courts. I have, by Troxy's request, I requested the dispositions on all those charges for her. To me, those were dismissed. I don't know. I guess I don't understand because I thought they were dismissed, which is why I'm here today. Like I said, my past has come back to haunt me. I made some bad decisions 30 years ago that I'm living a totally new life now. And I'm just asking that you do not deny my request for the application. I'm currently working as a community manager for Nelson Communities in Slidell. And because I'm managing the property, it would be best if I was licensed, if I have to sell homes in that park. I just ask that you just give me an opportunity to move on from this because it is in my past and a lot has changed since 30 years.
Okay, and looking here, I'm seeing the last one that I see here was 1993. It's on this page here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, further discussion. We have a motion and a second, but it can be withdrawn, or it can be changed, or we can vote. That's our options. Or any questions?
Yes, ma'am, Miss Mary. Did you bring anything with you showing that it was dismissed?
I have some copies of what I've sent to her. It's it's in my purse. I mean, I can show it to you. But yeah, I've requested everything from the district attorney's office, and they sent it to me, and I forwarded it to.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, the only and I didn't realize because I didn't wear my glasses that it was 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that concerned me was the misuse and the illegal use of currency and food stamps because the drug paraphernalia and things of that nature have no bearing on that. To me, the most alarming thing was the misuse of food stamps and illegal use of U.S. currency. And, as a salesperson, you will be taking people's deposits and their money. And I realized it was 34 years ago, and I just would like to see before I make my decision if you do have that with you that we could look at.
Well, actually, that was in the letter. I sent the letter over to the DA's
Okay,
office.
I have it. Okay.
And the DA's office sent me everything, but I mean, I am not even aware of food stamps. I've never, ever used food stamps, never applied for food stamps. I don't know where that comes from. So that's why I requested it from them. And what's listed, that's all that was showing up, which I requested a disposition for it. They sent me the only two that they did not, that was two things on the list that they were not able to provide was a date.
I make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Before we can do that, you can withdraw your second. That's our options. You could withdraw your second. We still have the motion. He could withdraw.
I'm going to withdraw I'm going to withdraw my second.
Okay, so right now I'm left with a motion. So either the motion can be withdrawn or it can stand. If it stands, then if there is, we'd be looking for another second. Without a second, it dies. Okay, so I'm assuming the motion still stands.
I would like to see, I mean, there's a lot here. I know it was a long time ago. I have to say.
Okay,
this.
we still have the motion to deny. Is there a second? All right, hearing no second, that motion is dead. I'm looking for a new motion.
I make a motion that we grant Miss Mary her license.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Boudreaux to grant the salesman's license. I need looking for a second.
I'll second that.
I have a second by Mr. Deffenbaugh. All right, is there any further discussion?
I oppose.
Okay, I'm getting there.
So,
All right, hearing those, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
aye.
All right, it'll pass 2-1. So the license will be granted. Thank you, Miss Mary.
gentlemen.
I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to skip over and thank you, Mr. Hazard, for helping me out there. A little different than what we've been taught in the past, but we do appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to move 6 down below 7. So 7 reports. Inspectors, Mr. Dunn, do you have anything? Have no reports from Mr. Danny Dunn. Mr. Jeffrey Franklin? Have no reports there. Ms. Troxy?
The electrical inspection request variance, did you all read that?
I did, but
Basically what it is, when a manufactured home is damaged, such as a fire or a tree falls through it and the person wants to repair and move back into it and they need power, we have to do the inspection. So we require them to fill out the paperwork, letting us know it's a manufactured home, what year it was originally built, what code they did any repairs to. They have to get a licensed electrician to let us know the wiring is good, as well as get it blocked and anchored to code with an updated installation sticker. Well, they didn't give me the date manufacturer, HUD, or serial number. So I told them we can't move forward without that because we need to know we regulate it. So they sent a variance. It's the law that they sent is from the fire marshal regarding getting a variance for buildings. So the only thing I can tell them is bring it in front of you all for you all to tell me, will you accept their request to have a variance or not?
and this is a HUD property.
I'm sorry?
This is a HUD home.
I'm not sure. They haven't filled out the paperwork to tell me if it's a HUD home.
Well, then we can't.
I don't think we
There's
have
no-
jurisdiction.
If this is a HUD home, then it would have to be re-inspected to ensure that it complies with the HUD standard. If it's a modular home, then it could be inspected by IBTS or one of their IRC. So we have to know first and foremost before we could grant any type of variance. We have to have the documentation on the home to know whether it's a HUD home or whether it's a modular home, to know what code that it's built to. I don't know how we can, in good conscience, grant a variance on a building that we don't even know what code that it's built to. That's my personal opinion.
So I just need a vote to go back and tell them you all are requiring them to give me that information.
We must have the proper information before we could make any type of decision or move forward on this matter. Mr. Hazard, please correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe you're correct, but I'm kind of curious what the variance request is. Is it for within the envelope of the home, or is it a connection outside, or?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, if I misunderstood you, but a tree came through the house, damaged part of the building itself, So part of the repairs, I tried reading through the emails and the stuff that was scanned in here on top of each other. I couldn't really tell, but it sounds like the damage was to the building itself. If it's to the building itself and not just the service to the building, I go back to my previous statements that we must know whether it's a HUD code, an IRC. I think it would be irresponsible to grant some type of variance when it's not even been inspected to what standard.
And I completely agree with that position. I guess the point that I'm thinking at is, and this is a question, does this commission have the authority to grant a variance to a HUD standard or to an IRC standard? And I don't believe it does.
I don't.
So my
No,
question is, what is it even here for?
This is a contracting board.
Well, it's not even a contractor's board issue. If it is the exterior of the shell, it would fall to the IRC code, which would be a code council matter, but they can't grant a variance to an established regulatory code. So the code's the code.
I would agree, because in
What's
what
the
I
purpose
just
of a code?
explained and understanding what code the home is built to, it still has to be inspected to make sure that it's brought back up. So it wouldn't technically be a variance; it would be that it is back in compliance to where it was originally built to.
Right.
So I'm not sure.
I
and
just
don't
needed
remember.
that answer. I'm gonna go back and tell them, per the commission, you need to notify me, you need to tell me if it's a HUD home. I need the date, manufacturer, HUD number, and serial number before we can do an inspection.
And then we can guide them on what the direction, who needs to inspect it, because that will determine who needs to do the inspection
It
to
would
make
be
sure
us.
that it.
If it's a HUD home, it would be us. We
Right,
do those
that
inspections.
is correct. Yeah, but it still has to be brought back up into compliance.
I'm sorry, Mr. Millett, I didn't hear you.
Do we need to make a motion?
I don't know that there's anything to make a motion on, but it hurt. Ms. Troxy's brought another question to mind. Does the fire marshal's inspectors, are they certified to do a HUD electrical inspection? So I don't know how the fire marshal could do such an inspection. You'd have to find a HUD inspector to do that.
I think that falls back under IBTS.
The chief building officials with the fire marshal office, they do the electrical, we do the blocking and anchoring.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to go back and direct them to get us the proper information on the building so we can go through the proper channels to
Correct.
get it inspected. All right, thank you, Ms. Troxy. All right, with that, we are, any
Troxy.
further,
Troxy
any,
still-
I'm sorry.
Troxy still has next meeting.
Next commission meeting is scheduled for March 17th. If anybody has any conflict with that, just let me know as soon as possible.
All right, thank you. Public comments on the reports as they were heard?
I have a couple questions.
March the 17th is we have the Biloxi show, the 16th, 17th, and 18th. So I think it kind of has I couldn't attend. I don't know if anybody else here goes to that show.
It would be possible, I know Chris Pence, Mr. Pence, he's not here, but he is with Blevins. It's a major supplier.
Yeah,
That may be, he would probably be there also.
Are we allowed to move the date?
We did this month for Mardi Gras. We could move it to the 24th, which would make it the fourth Tuesday, as we did this month.
Okay.
Would need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we change the next commission meeting to the 24th of March.
Second,
I'll second it.
I have a second, I have a motion and a second. Any comment? Mr. Hazard, do we have any problems with that?
I do not. I'm still trying to get back to Ms. Troxy's report, though, if we could go back.
Okay.
The electrical report.
What, just some other items that I thought we might have some reports on, and I'm fielding a lot of questions, Mr. Millett, from.
Okay, can we say?
Yes.
Can I close out this issue on the
I'm fine.
the meeting, and then we're still open for comment under the second. So right now I have a motion to move our March meeting to the 24th. I have it properly second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the March meeting will be moved to the 24th, and we are still open for comments under item number 7, reports. Mr. Hazard?
There we go. Ms. Troxy, could you give us an update on the complaint made against Chris Rood, if you would, and Ally Wholesales for operating as a dealership on a license that was filed on the 9th of February?
We have no way of going to contact them because they have no location. Normally, what happens when a dealership is operating unlicensed and they have a physical location, I can send an inspector out there, but by them operating online, we don't have a way of doing an investigation.
So there's no investigative process for a complaint about an unlicensed dealer, is what you're telling me?
Not online. We would probably have to create a fake Facebook page, or contact, like do a sting or something, contact them. We as the commission don't have anything like that as of now.
Mr. Chair, is it not within the purview of this commission to investigate complaints about unlicensed activity regarding a licensable activity?
It is.
So I guess there's my answer. I'm positioning you to tell them what to do next.
All right. Well, in a situation like that, we would have to figure out what our next steps would be, what would be allowed to do. I would want to refer back to legal counsel before I make any decisions or give any directions to determine what we are allowed to do.
I might bring this up too. There's been some confusion, if may be, but I believe Mr. McNeil is going to help you with that you may not have legal representation at the moment, but I believe Mr. McNeil is going to help you with that.
Okay. I appreciate that.
My last question, I guess, for the report is there any update on the Tricia Pellegrin complaint of an improper installation that was filed 12/23/25?
Before I tell you, I'm going to look it up right quick. Can you spell that last name?
I've got Pellegrin, Pellegrin. I actually have a copy of the complaint if that would help you.
So, Mr. Hassett, we don't have any of that information on either one of these, huh? That's
I'm sorry.
commissioners.
No,
I'm
it's not
sorry.
on our agenda here.
And that's the reason that I'm asking if Mr. Troxy can give you a report on that,
Status.
because I've been questioned about it repeatedly.
Okay, it was inspected first on January 6th by Deputy Franklin. And he could not complete the inspection because there were no engineer plans for him to do the inspection. So a letter was sent to the installer, and that installer is, let me get back to the first section of the report. That installer was Bar L Manufactured Homes, who is a licensed installer. So a letter was sent to them, giving them 30 days to submit plans so we can inspect it. Inspected plans were submitted, and we re-inspected on January 15th, and the home was installed to plans.
Has Ms. Pellegrin been notified of that, of the outcome of your investigation?
Normally, we don't notify the homeowner. I know Deputy Franklin talked to her the first day, but normally we don't have like their information to email them or call them, because the installer is the one who gets the letter.
Who filed the complaint? The consumer or the
homeowner
installer?
with their address that is listed on the complaint form.
Yeah, then we should have the means by which to notify them that an inspection was made and that it was found to be in compliance.
Okay.
That's all that I had for Ms. Troxy's report, please.
Any further comments? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to item 6, which was moved, the commission growth and progression. That was an item that I had asked to be put on here. As obvious, first, I want to thank Mr. Hazard for allowing us to be here in this beautiful building. It's definitely an upgrade from what we're used to.
I'm sending y'all a bill for rent.
Oh, that's fair enough, as long as it's not addressed to me personally. With that being said, we know there are a lot of changes. It's obvious that changes are coming. However, I want it, and I'm sure Mr. Hazard will correct me if I'm wrong, but as of this time, nothing can change with the Manufactured Housing Commission until there is legislation passed, signed, and done, which means we operate as business as usual. Our complaints come in. Ms. Troxy is our facilitator. I apologize if I'm not know the exact title, but you've always been, as long as I can remember, kind of the facilitator for our commission. You handle the complaints. We have 2 investigators, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Franklin, who go out, who investigate our complaints, who are investigate inspections. None of that has changed, and none of that will change, as I understand it, until legislation has been done. Now, has been completed. With that being said, I understand that the licensing board, along with the Manufactured Housing Association, they are working together back and forth to create legislation that will make changes. We know changes are coming. Changes, growth can be a good thing. There are going to be some growing pains, but we will get through this together. But until that legislation is done, until you are notified differently, then we operate as usual. We're just simply meeting in a different building. And now I'm not 100% sure as to the agreement that Mr. Hazard has with Chief Adams, but I understand that he is going to be working closely with us, and hopefully, if everything works out, we end up here. At this time, Mr. Hazard, do you have something that you would like to add?
I've got some information I can share with y'all that it's kind of a bullet points prepared by John Kay, the director of the Manufactured Housing Association, of what some things that we're looking towards legislation for. Before we get into that, though, if I could try to clear up a little bit of confusion, maybe a little bit more pointedly than you did.
Please.
I'm getting calls from building officials, because we also manage, if you will, the code council. They're under the impression, from information provided by someone with manufactured housing, that they're going to overtake the manufactured home inspections within the next month or so. I want to make sure we're clear that, just like you said, that your current processes are indeed your current processes until such a time as legislation becomes effective, if it becomes effective. So let's not try to push things down the road or around a little bit when they're still this commission's responsibility. The agreement that Chief Adams and I have essentially leaves the operations of the commission the same, and I give it some oversight and try to clarify a few of the processes and streamline some of the things that you guys got going on. Some of your staffing challenges, as in you don't have very many, are probably some of the struggles that you're going through. Some of your legislation is contrary to practice and or law. While we're on that topic, I would like you gentlemen to perhaps review the first 15, 20 portions of Title 37 Occupation Licensing Act that defines the background issues and how they can be managed. They're very clear that you must consider the time since the last offense. I believe 30 plus years is more than adequate. The offense has to be tied to the industry per se. I think Mr. Boudreaux made a good point. Narcotics type charges are not relative to your industry, though financial type issues may well be. I think you made a good decision in granting that license. That's Brad's opinion. I think we're lacking in some of that. If I don't know how you handle backgrounds. I'm under the impression you go somewhere and they fingerprint it and they send you a report back, something like that. If Ms. Smith truly did have her charges dropped, that's something I think that we should have looked into a little bit further, and maybe she wouldn't have come here today. If we can get the clearance letter saying charges were dismissed 34 years ago, that would have been a moot point, and y'all could have moved on, and you probably wouldn't have had a meeting today. Just some things to work towards if you're so inclined.
And that's, if I can just say right there, that's kind of goes back to the growing pains I was talking about, because when this commission came in less than 12 months ago, after our first meeting, we were sat down and we were given directives by counsel at the fire marshal's office as to how we were to handle that, and we have been following that as we were directed. So now we're kind of changing and growing and completely open to doing it as
Chair,
by the rule as possible.
I'm not suggesting that your counsel was in error. Your counsel moved forth with what they believed was the right practice, and it still may be the right practice. I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be one, but I can read the law as well as anybody else can. I was also told, just as a point of discussion while we're on this, that any felony has to be reviewed before the board. I don't know if that's statutory or a practice. My suggestion moving forward is perhaps we can review what those felonies are if they're relative to your industry and to the occupation that you will license or not. This is not the contractors board, but I'm going to tell you some things that we do at the contractors board to avoid such things. If we did not issue a license to anyone who has a felony, no one's doing your drywall and no one's doing your painting. A third DWI is a felony. Theft over a certain dollar amount, it's changed since I've been out of the game, but it could be a felony. We also don't look at the practice of what the conviction is. We look at what the act was, and we determine at that point the conviction's pretty clear. A plea of guilty is pretty clear. A no contest plea, you may want to consider looking at those. It's entirely theoretically possible that a murder charge gets reduced to a shoplifting plea. I'm not saying that happens in practice, but all charges are at the discretion of the district attorney within some certain guidelines. We find at the board a lot of times that individual A has been charged with 3 counts of contractor fraud. Well, obviously that's something that we're not going to license you for, but there will be a no contest plea that brings it down to issuing worthless checks, which may or may not make a difference, and the time frame again makes a difference. It's an area that's sort of gray, but there's some pretty clear guidelines of the things that you gentlemen should be considering in Title 37.
And to answer your question, it is statutory. It is in our regulations that if someone has been convicted of a felony, it does not outline what type of felony or age. It just simply says if they were convicted of a felony, then they shall not hold a sales license or dealer's license. So during the course of...
But that statute apparently also gives you the overriding authority?
It is up to the...
That's statutory, Mr. Parks?
Yes.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, it is. But it is in our statute that addresses the felonies and how to handle it.
And I think that...
So that's something that to work with as you move forward with your other associates.
I think that part of the struggle there is y'all's statutory language hasn't been updated to match.
In many years, since the inception of the board, as I understand it, or the commission as I understand it.
That's a shame. Okay, moving forward, if you will, those are just some things I wanted to bring up that kind of came to the surface today. We are working pretty hard to prepare a bill to essentially merge this commission with the residential committee of the contractors board. That's being done for a variety of reasons. It was initiated by Chief Adams. He believes that this is a better fit as our regulatory compliance issues are different than yours. It's more of a consumer protection aspect. And as Mr. Boudreaux pointed out earlier, The role of this commission is to protect the consumer, not necessarily the dealer, the manufacturer, the installer, the transporter, which I'm not sure why you still license, but all those types of things. John Kay, as I started earlier, the executive director of the Manufactured Housing Association, has given me some bullet points to kind of bring up with you of what they're trying to do. Obviously, to make the merger, if you will. The Residential Committee of the Contractors Board is 3 members of the Residential Home Builders Association, LHBA. Their suggestion is that you add 3 members of the manufactured housing industry nominated by LMHA to that board. So that would be 3 from the residential world, 3 from your world, and there are, of course, 2 at-large members, which I don't believe that you have. Do you have an at-large member on this commission?
Not at this time that I'm aware of.
And I do believe you have an open commission seat. Is
We
that
have
correct?
2 open commission seats.
Are any of those designated to be at large,
What is classified
What's-
as at large?
Yeah.
but not related to the industry?
I may fall under that.
I thought you sold stuff.
I work in RV.
RV.
At who?
I work in recreational vehicles.
You could be an at-large member.
Yeah.
Great.
And I think the other gentleman that was initially appointed may have been the at-large.
Okay. So the residential committee currently is the 3 people from the home builders, and there is a representative of the commercial board, which is oversees the residential board. That member is designated as the chairman of the board. He is actually a commercial builder, and there are 2 at-large members. One's an attorney and one sells steel commercial buildings. So that's the proposed makeup of that committee, if you will. His point 2 is to bring manufactured housing license holders under Title 37 where contractors live, essentially with the same definitions of what you have. There
May I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no,
but
please. Let's
Before
have
we
the-
get too far from that, so of the 2 at-large members, one of those at-large members would be from the commercial board?
No. The chairman of this committee is a member of the commercial board. There are 2
The
distinct-
proposed committee we're talking about.
Well, the actual committee as it stands.
As it stands today, and we're talking about the residential committee as it stands today.
Correct. The residential
Okay.
committee as it stands has 3 LHBA guys. It has 2 at-large members, and it has a chairman appointed by the commercial board.
Right. Now,
The proposal would be just to add 3 members of LHMA to said board, equal representation.
okay. I'm sorry, I was just trying
No, no.
to follow along there.
No,
Just
that-
want to make sure we were clear.
You wanted this to be a discussion, and we can discuss it.
Thank you, sir.
There's a lot that we need to work through. There's a lot of confusion and perhaps a lot of misconceptions, if you will. So essentially just moving the definitions of your 4 license classes into our section of Title 37. They would essentially remain the same. Your qualifications would remain the same. There would be some small little changes. Essentially, everybody that's licensed by the Contractors Board statutorily has to take a class called Business Law and an annual update on business law. It's about a 45-minute video. It's multiple choice. Initially, the continuing ed portion of it is truly just a video every year. If you're currently licensed by the board or by the commission, if you will, at the time this goes into effect, we just transfer your license over. We give you the video, tell you to watch it, and you're good to go. Your renewal fees will be paid to the board at that point. New licensee applications would be processed by the board with their standard practices, which I think, I know, Bobby, you're pretty familiar with. It goes down to the background issue. We handle it a little bit differently. There's a net worth, a financial net worth requirement thereof. I don't recall if that would end up being $25,000 net worth or a $50,000 net worth, and it may be even higher for the dealer or manufacturer. That's some things John's working through. And of course, we said background, proper qualifications, business law, and whatever testing requirements that your current classifications have, which is a point that I want to talk about a little bit later on, if we could. Maintain licensing standards with one targeted upgrade. That is really where he addresses the business law issue that I think we just got through. Okay, the money issue. I know money is always an issue for you guys. You used to have your own funds. You don't anymore. It goes back and forth. Penalties assessed upon a contractor, which would be this industry in the future. Currently, all penalties assessed against a construction type licensee that we currently regulate is dedicated outside of the agency. Those funds are dedicated to an education trust fund of one type or another. If you've, and I know Mr. Boudreaux has seen some of these things at the board, if the board finds you $5,000 and $1,000 towards administrative costs, the admin cost stays with the board for its operational use. The $5,000 is a pass-through. It goes right away, and it goes to the education trust fund. I have suggested that you don't do that the same way, that penalties assessed on manufactured housing type matters be retained by the board to pay for future uses of the manufactured housing industry, whether that be some continuing ed components or if it would be, and I keep leaning more and more towards it to be used towards the inspection of a consumer complaint. And so we can maybe do that a little bit cleaner, have some more timely issues. I know Mr. Townsend brought that up earlier today. It took quite a while to get that worked out, and he did share with me the concern of the great expense that they had to get the inspection. I just think that industry should pay for that. It shouldn't be upon the consumer to pay for something that we're supposed to be protecting. There's that part. I know that Mr. Parks and I had numerous conversations about changing the state agent, the designated agent, the state agency
Administrator.
Yes, thank you. We've already reached out to them. That's a matter of a letter saying that statutory it now lives in a different house. They're good. I know that there are some audits that are done by them. We're trying to get a hold of the last several audits to ensure that we can maintain at least that standard or hopefully improve them. The installation inspections have been an argument that a divorce attorney would be proud of. I know your current statute, I believe, says that you should do a significant portion or a majority portion of new home installations, inspections. Roughly, I think your numbers were about $6,500 or 6,500 new homes per year. Roughly, your inspections have averaged about 1,000 per year, roughly. There's been ups and downs on both categories. I don't find that to be significant nor a majority. If you remove one line in your current law that says the local building official cannot do the inspection, you can gain 100% compliance. I would also like to make you aware that federal law, HUD code, clearly defines that a local building official can do your inspection. There's some communication struggles about how you become certified to do that inspection. We're going to work through those and find an answer to that. Hopefully we can do a little bit of that today. Chief Adams and Troxy have both sent me a report that they received sometime in December. The monthly reporting by dealers, which I have, and I don't know if any of you have ever seen it, though I don't know what you would do with it. There are about 30 pages, if you will, that says a house made at Jessup Housing number 2 in Waco, Texas was shipped on 11/25/25 with a serial number and went to Acadiana Home Center. What do y'all do with this information? What value is that to y'all? Do we still need to do
To
that?
the commission?
Yes, sir.
No.
Why do y'all ask for it? Mr. Gary, you have to understand, I'm trying to gather some information.
I don't think any of us have purview to that. We don't have.
No, that's for record keeping. Say, for instance, we go out and do a inspection at a dealer lot. The home is damaged, or the home is sold and we can't figure out who actually built it, we can go back to that report and get that. HUD just automatically sends that to us. Also to ensure, HUD sends us $9 per floor that is shipped. That can also be used by you to make sure you're getting the monies that you're supposed to get, that each manufacturer is supposed to pay.
That who's getting the money?
Who's gonna,
The state administrative agent.
Okay.
I think the other point of that report is to compare it to what the dealers are sending in on their reports. You can always go back to it to just,
Just a safeguard, if
well,
you will.
it's a
check and
secondary
balance.
check. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Years ago, there was an intention and a hope of being able to cross-reference what was sold by the dealership report as it was sold versus what was shipped into the state to ensure that everything that was being brought in and sold was properly permitted and tagged,
Or through a licensed dealer, I'm
or
assuming.
through a licensed dealer. That is correct.
And that never came to be, or
Without the proper resources, no, it never came to be.
Okay.
To my knowledge, we never had the resources and the wherewithal to enter that data to be able to properly cross-reference it.
so that brings up a question. Is all that data readily available in a database somewhere?
No, sir.
no.
Only in hard copy that I'm aware of,
It was shipped.
which makes it virtually impossible, which makes it extremely difficult to try to cross-reference.
It was
and find.
emailed in an Excel format. So I challenge that
Well,
it's
that-
a hard
that-
copy.
I'm
issue.
only going by what I was previously
I understand.
told.
So do we have all these hard copy reports from years past?
Normally what would happen, they would send it to the SAA, which is currently Chief Adams.
Correct.
And then sometimes they would send it to me, sometimes they wouldn't. I can go and research my email, because I wouldn't delete the email. So I would have to go and research to see how many I have to send to you, if you would like them, or print them out.
Well, I would think that you would like them first, because this is going to be y'all's for another 6 to 8 months at a minimum. Anyway, we'll move on past that. So one of LMHA's recommendations was to stop the monthly dealer reporting requirement. And based upon what y'all are saying, I think that is something that should absolutely stay.
I believe just my personal opinion, if it was properly entered and we had the proper resources to be able to cross-reference that, I think there is definitely an ability, especially from an inspection standpoint. If we get a complaint where a home was set, a home was installed, and the complaint is that an unlicensed dealer or an unlicensed installer, the way that our system is set up now, it would be very easy for our inspector to go get the serial number of that house, because on every home on the front, the serial number is engraved and painted. There is a data plate, which is basically the birth certificate of the house. If that was accessible and searchable, they would only need to pull that information up to find out who built the house, who sold the house, what dealership it went to, and then track down who installed it and whether they were licensed or not. So in a perfect world, if everything was being tracked and entered properly, yeah, I believe there would be value to that information.
So does this commission believe that to repeal that dealer reporting requirement is something that should be in law or not?
I think it's worth it.
repeal it?
Me,
To
it's worth
repeal it. Would you like it to remain a requirement?
I would.
I think that it should, my opinion, but the honestly.
I'm the naive optimist. I like a perfect world. I like to be able to go into a database and search and find something
Yeah.
that we are not sure if it's been properly licensed or properly installed. If we get a complaint on an installation, we go out there, it's not installed properly. You can look back into that report to find out. You can track it. You can track it from where it was built,
Well, you
where
could
it was
if you had the
delivered to
data,
the state,
correct.
to the dealer that it was sold to, and then ultimately to who delivered that house and set it up improperly. So I think there's value in it. There's potential value in it.
I agree with you, Mr. Parks. It seems like most of that data is already available to you, though. Moving forth, assuming that this bill does move forth, I think that we can create that process for you readily. It's an Excel document, gentlemen. It truly is. The one of the other things not on John's bullet points, and I've talked about it at length with LMHA, is there seems to be a lot of concern about flood elevations, base flood elevation, zoning, blah, 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 all the problems that you have setting these homes, selling these homes, et cetera, the lack of consistency in the enforcement of that type of thing. I've asked the State Uniform Code Council to propose in their bill, which is already filed, to add a member of the manufactured home community to that council for representation to help stem some of the inconsistencies that different local organizations or jurisdictions, if you will, present to you. And it will give you some insight and actually a voice, which I don't know why you haven't had ever before. You guys, you regulate the housing of the most financially at risk people in this state, and it seems like they currently have the least amount of consumer protection across the board with the Code Council as well. That's the intent of this bill. One of the things that I don't think that you guys touch now is a secondary installation, a used home, if you will. There is no inspection requirement for that, and I struggle to think that if I spent my last dollar to buy a used home for my family, that I'm not actually entitled to the same amount of inspection and protection that somebody who built a new home is. And if we can do this with the locals, and they can, and they will, you're going to have 100% installation inspections across the board, used and new. That some of the dealers don't seem to like that. Some of the installers don't seem to like that. The same topic comes up all the time. We care about our customers. We care about the consumer. I don't know how you can't like that if you care about your consumer.
There's a different installation setup on used product than there is new. And
Agreed.
Unless there's a homeowner's manual with that home,
Correct.
you have to go by the state's guidelines. I mean, but I think that they all should be.
Well, you have to go by what's in existing building code, correct,
That's
Mr. Lett, is
correct.
what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
But the problem that you have now is your current law prohibits that inspection, so nobody touches the estimated 8,500 used installations every year. One of my personal struggles with this and the I guess the equitable or the fairness side of it is, if you buy a new stick-built home, there's 20 inspections to ensure it's safe. If you buy a used home, unless you're fortunate enough to pay cash for it, your finance company or mortgage company, however you like to call that, is going to insist upon some level of inspection. But if we buy a used mobile home, it's consumer beware. I mean, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's worse than buying a used car. So I think these are some good things for the consumer protection aspect of it, as well as I think it should raise the standards of integrity within your own industry. The unlicensed installers, which I've been hearing about for several months, which seem to be everybody's frustration. If we can put this into play, there's a built-in reporting system, if you will, by the building official of who did the installation, and we can move forth from that. When y'all cut the state people that are already in place out, you eliminated all that. And I think that this is going to help your licensed installers to be on a more level playing field with the unlicensed guys. Same thing as we addressed with the residential folks, residential stick builders many years ago, as Mr. Parks was part of that conversation, and that problem has been significantly reduced. And I say significantly as an understatement. This could be a good thing.
I got a question.
Come
All
on.
right, Mr. Franklin, you come up.
So I'm trying to get it right. So
are
we do. We do.
For the record,
We do.
For the record, can you get
My
a
name is
record for me?
Deputy Franklin.
Thank you, sir.
So we do inspect used homes.
Did y'all know that?
Yeah, I knew it.
If they put a sticker.
I've asked that question.
Well, here's the
30
issue.
times.
Okay, but here's the issue. 9 out of 10 times, whoever's transporting or setting up that used home is not a licensed installer.
Then how do you do an inspection?
Well, he does some, but they don't do them all. Plus, they don't report it unless there's a problem where the customer that has the used home calls the commission, calls Troxy, and files a complaint. That's the only way we know that used house has been done. So, again, I think that the installers should be filling out the same report that the dealers fill out. And that might be something you want to put in your.
It may be. But I'm curious
So
to see what he's gonna ask.
most of your licensed installers who move used home, they do a monthly report.
Okay.
Now they do have unlicensed.
Where does that report go, Mr.? I'm not trying to stop you. I just
that
don't.
report goes to Ms. Troxy, and it goes on our dash, and we can pull from that dash or what we want.
So you randomly pick.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, but it's we do use homes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So the way they get around this is
Who's they though, Mr. Boudreaux? I'm
the
sorry.
installers or the customer is the only way they can get around not being reported, because a lot of the parishes have insisted that if you don't have an installer's sticker on the home,
The infamous red tag.
yes,
Okay.
or white.
No, it's actually a little
white.
bitty
That's
white
the-
tag. The
white
red tag
tag.
is actually the HUD label.
The HUD label is the red tag. The white installer's decal
Peel and
that he
sticker,
puts.
peel and stick thing that falls off.
Yeah.
Or gets pulled off and used somewhere else.
Well, and I've had that happen. I've had somebody peel my sticker off and go put it on another
Right.
house. But I like Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish. If you do not have that sticker, you're not getting
You're
electricity.
not getting electricity.
And the way they beat it and the way they get around it. So, say, Brad, you owned a house and it was on your form, and the hurricane came and messed it up, but you still maintain your electrical meter. So you drag that one out of there and you buy you a second-hand one and you put it in there. There's no inspection because
Right.
you bootlegged it in.
And you're always that's always going to be the case. And
Right.
Frank, I want to share with you. I'm not knocking y'all by any means the job that you're doing. My question is the system itself isn't designed for success.
Oh yeah.
No,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not.
Yeah, but my biggest thing was when I heard you say we didn't do used housing. I just wanted to make that clear that we did.
And I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
actually very glad you told me that because LMHA told me point blank that y'all don't.
We do.
In many of the parishes,
we
you
do.
can't get around it. If you move it, you have to put a sticker.
He's a new director.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
He is. And I would tell you, he's trying extremely hard to work for you guys.
Yes,
He,
sir.
he really is.
But I think this goes back to the list. I mean, having the data, having the proper data, being able to input that data, be able to research that data. So when these gentlemen or whoever,
Sure.
especially if we're using more inspectors across the state, they need a central database that they can go to, plug in a serial number, plug in a name, and cross-reference and somehow search to find out if this has been inspected, if who sold this home,
Which is
this
even
person-
more reason for somebody from this industry to sit on the Construction Code Council that manages the permit system and the data that is collected. And that's another thing that I think that we can bring to you that will help your industry and at the same time protect the consumer in a greater fashion.
So who's
I agree.
I'm sorry. So who's going to decide who sits on this?
The governor decides who sits on all boards
All
and
of-
commissions, Mr. Love. Yeah. You good?
Oh yes, sir.
Wasn't on you, brother. Wasn't on you.
No, I just heard that and I said,
Yeah.
no, I need to
Well,
say
the problem is I get bits and pieces of information, and a lot of times it's really hard to get that bits and piece.
So
So,
believe me, we get a lot of questions right now.
Yeah.
From everybody.
yeah.
So, but it's
Okay,
all
good.
You good?
Unless you have questions, and I'm
I
sure
just
you
have
do.
one last comment.
Yeah,
Everything that has been discussed here in the last however long since the very beginning of my opening is all stuff that is still in the works. It is still being worked out between the Manufactured Housing Association, between the Licensing Board of Contractors, among the legislature. I want to reiterate again, nothing for us has changed as of today. Nothing for us will change until that legislation is approved, adopted, and signed and done. Until then, we are still responsible for handling the consumer complaints, for handling the inspections, and for handling all, just like we have done for many years. I just don't want there to be any confusion about that. All this other that we have talked about is still business that is in the works. And until that comes down, we still operate as we always have. All right.
Chair, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate for all you're doing. Okay, do we have any public comment on that conversation? Is there any need for an executive session?
No.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Millette.
I'll second it.
I've got a second
Pick.
from Stephen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Gentlemen, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your time. And Mr.